Up next, we have a panel discussion on cybersecurity in emerging technologies. And to moderate this panel discussion, we have Samir Kumar Datt, sir, founder and CEO of Foundation Futuristic Technologies, and our esteemed panelist, Mohammad Aamir, sir, lead vulnerability intelligence, Airbus. Suresh Kumar, sir, founder and CEO, Skysecure Technologies. Badrinarayan, sir, COO, NIF Hypercloud. Vaisakh, sir, founder and CEO of Prophaze. And Yusuf Hashmi, sir, Group CISO, Jubilant. Over to you, Samir, sir.
Thank you, Anisha. Thank you for the warm welcome. And I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome all our fellow panelists who are here. We are in very august company and a lot of very big names here. But I'm seeing two Dr. Yusuf Hashmi, so it's a little confusing from that perspective. Wonderful. So I would request all the panelists who are present to turn their videos on. And is there anybody else other than the five that I see? So cybersecurity is something that's that's the need of the hour, the need of the minute, the need of the second, and we live it, we breathe it day in day out. And we're all part of the CF100. So fantastic, guys! Congratulations. Let me start out by saying that all well deserved and something that we should all be very proud of. Now, what we've got to do is actually, give back and contribute. And I think this panel is something that is, a good step in that direction. Essentially, we are looking at emerging technologies and the cybersecurity that is related to it. So we're going to look at the different kinds of emerging technologies that are out there. We're looking at AI and machine learning security, IoT security. We'll talk about Vaisakh, would you like to talk about blockchain and cryptocurrencies, or maybe 5G network security, quantum computing and cryptography, augmented reality, VR, edge computing security, autonomous system security, and stuff like that? There's a lot of stuff, There's bioinformatics, genomics, there's cloud computing. This is a really happening area where what is happening today at the edges of technology, at the edges of science, is something that needs to be covered with cybersecurity. Because if we are not covering those areas, we are exposing the not just ourselves but every aspect of society to needless risks. I mean, I'm sure people have talked ad nauseum about the CrowdStrike and Microsoft and all sorts of things that have been going on over the last 2 days. So people have been talking about that. So all these, right from the edges to all the different new technologies that are out there is some things that we've all got to look at. So I'd like to, kick this off and get it started by inviting Badri, and I would request Badri to sort of, give us insights on the approach for securing, detecting, and responding to threats in the IoT-rich environs. Over to you, Badri.
So thank you, Samir, and it's such a pleasure, to be with a very distinguished and a very, very energetic audience. And I would love to have this forum physically, in a format somewhere. But I would like to begin by IoT. When you talk about IoT, IoT is such a technical term and it's a technical buzzword, but I would actually flip it and say smart cities, smart factories, smart homes. Homes are getting smarter, and smart airports. I think whenever you hear something smart, and humanity is now surrounded more by IoT than ever in the history of humankind, and that is something which I think impacts society, impacts the government, and also the private public sectors, as well. And I think the last 10 years, and I do believe IoT was primarily PLC, SCADA, and it used to have a Microsoft Windows head end. And it was not even connected to the internet sometimes, and the SCADA systems has to be manually upgraded, right? Think elevators, escalators, and so on and so forth. But I think in the last 5 years, maybe this rapid, advancements in the way the IoT sensors and wearables and so on and so forth. I think there is everything is internet facing, and there are billions and billions and billions of IoT sensors. And I think that's the context of where we live in as a society. And as a result, I think the threat profile, I think the threat vectors have also quadrupled. And I would say a few things, right? What does it mean for adversaries who are out there in the wild? They have automated the hell out of everything. What I mean by automation is they have industrialized the automation. They can now scan for vulnerabilities. They can even do exploitation step by step, right? That is also industrially automated. So I think when we talk about cyber warfare, when we talk about cyber, defense and all that, just imagine you are with a tiger inside a room. We've all seen tigers and zoos and this thing, right? But the threat of engaging with a cyber defender, the visual metaphor I give in industry events is visualize you're with a tiger or tigers, right? I think that's the land right now. And IoT environments are very, very, very highly vulnerable, critical infrastructure. And I think with ChatGPT and Gen AI and LLMs being publicly available, and I cringe when I say this in public forums, it's the truth that the adversaries are better equipped, well equipped. They are leveraging the same LLMs and the models to actually, go behind, but then coming to specifics of, how we can, secure, how we can respond. I always go back to the 101s, right? Are you logging everything? And most often than not, we always go into the higher degrees of, have you done this? Have you done that? Because if you're not logging everything, nothing else matters really, right? And I think a lot of the times we do see, and I have been behind the scenes in airports, both in India and outside, where I know what ticks an airport, and when you see the scale at which an airport runs or a power grid runs, it's unfathomable, in kinds of the business processes and everything. I think logging is something which is so important. And as a product and platform vendor in DNIF Hypercloud, we got a world-class, platform that can really ingest multiple types of log sources, log formats, and we have our own, query language. And we are one of the few vendors in the market to build our own DNIF query language. So logging is something which I would say is the 101. And then there are a few other things around how do you detect, how do you add controls, and how do you contextualize the attacks for a particular sector. Airports don't face the same threat as a power grid, right? So we have to contextualize what kinds of advisories, TTPs, and IOCs. I think the last thing is how can you really automate, and how can you really automate the attack vectors, at least for the known. Today, the biggest challenge is even the known attacks, the known vulnerabilities. There's a lot of manual, and those are the key areas that I believe, where we can automate. We can actually give back to the adversaries in terms of being many steps ahead of them by bringing in a level of industrial automation for IoT environments by actually walking the talk. I think those are some of the the macro level things. But if you want me to dive into any specific topic, Samir, please pick on anything what you would like to ask. But I'd like to hand it back to you.
Yeah. So that's wonderful. I think that's a great insight, and I love the point about logging everything, because we can't overlook the basics. 101 is still 101. We've got to go with that. So that is crucial. And would anybody else like to sort of weigh in on this? What Badri is mentioning about the different aspects of cybersecurity for IoTs and things like that. Anybody?
So I would like to just add. We are talking about the emerging technologies, and all the emerging technologies have few things in common. And or you can say, like, all these technologies are possible because of some special technologies like AI. If you talk about AI, if you remove AI, you may not imagine many of these emerging technologies in the market, right? So again, the concern is almost same, or you can say the major concern are same around all these emerging technologies. From we talk about AI, the concern of AI, the privacy issues, the issues around unrealistic, or you can say, the unknown threats that we do not know, that will be evolved based on the time, right? we do not see anything particularly for AI. I mean, safeguarding the AI. Apart from that, the traditional approach, like okay, AI. If you take AI as an application, you are using application. You follow the WASP top 10 and all those things, right? But if you see, maybe in future we can see something like we see WAF, web application firewall. We may see a application firewall, or sorry, we may see a firewall that is particularly for AI, for I mean safeguarding the AI applications. Or maybe we can see some enhancement in the WAF where they can contain uh, attacks or vulnerabilities specific to AI also. So again,
Safeguarding the AI or safeguarding from the AI? That is the question.
safeguarding the first thing is safeguarding the AI. Safeguarding from the AI, yeah, that is again a concern. But again, this AI, we are not knowing what exactly is going to happen in future, especially with the security of AI. We can think about what is AI bringing in future. We can see, okay, metaverse is coming. Although we are talking about metaverse, but metaverse is not a reality right now. Even Meta has said, the Facebook has said, it will take 5-10 years. Maybe we will be very old by that time, right? So, but what that once the technology is there, then you know what are the implications, what are the challenges you are going to face. Right now, all the challenges or the implication is on paper, is on just discussion. The reality is very far now. So, I mean, as Badri said, even with this IoT, like you were putting all the data in house. I mean, what was the purpose of OT? Just keep inside. Do not put it on internet. But with the IoT, you have to connect to the cloud. So apart from your own problem, apart from your own implications, you are you are adding some more implications of cloud. Then you are using AI. Then you are adding some more implications of AI, and so on and so forth.
I think that's a problem associated with growth. What happens is that as we grow, the problems also grow. So if you have more problems, it's a good sign. It shows that we are growing.
Yeah, so there are lots of problems to come,
Yeah,
and we have
I
to
can
be ready
see.
for that. Yeah.
I can see. Yes, yes. So anybody else who would like to add something on this?
Yeah, since I think Mohammad was telling about how to secure the AI, is there any? So I think, of course, it's already, the Israeli startups or whatever ecosystem already, having those tools which protects the ML model. Somebody trying to poison the ML learning, there is tools which is already there as a MVP to raise the funds. Already people are thinking too much advanced. So I mean, good and bad, right? I mean, now the AI and ML and all things are all Gen AI things are emerging. Even that is not at a stable state right now. It's in the starting. Even before that, people thinking about securing it. Maybe it's too early, but still, of course, is a valid use case on all this stuff. Yeah.
So it's good
Just
to see
one point.
Yes, please.
Sorry, just one, and won't take more than a minute. I think the AI, and I couldn't resist making this comment because I think AI deepfakes. I think the previous session, I think Burgess was hosting the panel, and I couldn't be there fully, but I heard about 10 minutes. So one of the things is, I think in the cybersecurity world, starting somewhere is a problem. Either we want to do everything all at once. So I'll tell you a few examples where I believe in DNIF, we are walking the talk. You can do API log, you scan the API logs, REST APIs, then you look at memory overflows, buffer overflows. See, AI is not a new animal that has come in through the window last week or last month. It's been there for 20 years. Now with the compute that is coming in and the kind of LLMs. So my point is, I think deepfakes and all that, we are leapfrogging generations again, right? But at the fundamental level, when the platform is protecting, the cybersecurity platform is protecting the enterprise, who is protecting the platform? I think that's the flip side, right? And when you're watching the platform as well, when you're looking at simple things like buffer overflows, memory overflows, then you go to the next level, then you go to the next level. I think that's a more of fundamental, problem also in the industry, because either we are too far ahead, or as I said, right, logging, we are not logging everything. But back to you, Shamir.
Perfect. Yusuf, you wanted to add something to this?
Yeah, I think you discussed at length about the practical implications of IoT, AI, right? So since I've been into industrial domain, so we have industrial IoT because we have sensors, actuators, motors, right? And there are many more devices which actually now throwing back information back to the system, and that we need to know. So I think it's a need to have data. Data is the key here, because what we are trying to collect is data. So how do we ensure the integrity of the data is most important, because the channels that are used for getting the data are not that matured enough, right? Because they are largely dealt by the protocols created by the manufacturers. So I don't know, I don't have the visibility of those protocols, right? How effective they are, unlike IP protocols, right? Like for example, Modbus protocol. So it's a standard which has been used across many of these. Now, but since Siemens and all these OEMs, they have developed more mature protocol. So the data integrity is most important, right? How do we ensure the data coming out of those IoT devices are being protected, are not being changed? Because uh, in the industrial environment, you won't have that ability to actually get inside and monitor each and everything. Mostly it happens on the passive side. We don't have the opportunity to do an active, because anything, these are so vulnerable protocols, anything that can change, it can shut down your machinery. So I think IoT will play a major role unless we have those technologies to ensure that integrity of the data is being in shape before it goes into your collection, your historians and your data lakes and all, where you process and identify the gaps and efficiency in your industrial process.
Great points. I think, this just the first question itself has generated a lot of very good data inputs, and lovely. We must keep the flow going. So Suresh, you want to add to this?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. And probably I wanted to basically show a meme that is probably making a lot of attention, gathering a lot of attention today, but unfortunately I couldn't do that. But if I tell this, probably everybody on this forum probably would be able to relate to that. So we are at an age or a cusp of time where machines are doing a lot of learning today, and humans have stopped learning and probably busy scrolling their phones. And
I
it
remember
made
that
sense
name.
also.
Yes, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when Badri mentioned that AI is not new, right? Absolutely, it's definitely not new to us. Only thing is, it's become more intelligent and generative at this current time. And how we basically make use of that is the question here. And I believe most of us are already following how the market is also resonating in terms of the AI, right? Especially, and the market doesn't seem to be great at this time, at least. Since Monday, market is definitely bleeding. You can see Nvidia and Microsoft and Google all bleeding.
Bye.
Exactly. Okay. You are recommending that people should buy at this time. Good. So, is it a boon or a bane? It's probably for us to validate that eventually. Yeah, I think market definitely is favoring in many ways because when you really look at AI, right, and especially with the generative AI, a lot of businesses are seeing value in this. And while my organization works with a lot of clients directly in kind of building some solutions that leverages AI to solve for all the mundane tasks that they generally do, we've been working with one of the legal firms recently, and this legal firm was basically looking at some models, right? I mean, not the global models that exist, the large language models, but something which is specific to their industries, the small models, right? While we are while we are looking at building these models and help them use them in their day-to-day life, one of the concerns that basically crops out of that, right, is how safe is this model that we are building, right? And what are the probabilities of this model or this data that you're infusing getting poisoned? This probably will tie back to also what Dr. Yusuf mentioned. Who's monitoring this, right? Because if an IoT or OT device, which is leveraging these AI models, gets poisoned, right? The data gets poisoned. And the market research also says that there are 25% chances of that model getting poisoned also. So there should be levels that basically checks for the probability of the implications that I'm just mentioning now. There should be some way of basically monitoring these challenges and monitoring it in real time. And also we cannot put the resolution also back to the model, right? If somebody is playing around or manipulating the model, they might also probably think from the perspective that if I try to mitigate that, how do they basically circumvent that, right? How do they basically bypass that? So the checker and the maker should not be the same. So business should probably look at that perspective. Yes.
I think the standard audit methodology should be applied across the board here. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. So that's another valuable input. Now, Aamir, I know that you're from Airbus and you have extensive experience in this area. So how about sharing with us what concerns relating to data privacy, etc., that you see with autonomous vehicles?
See, if autonomous vehicle, we are hearing about a lot. There are again, when we talk about the autonomous vehicle, we have to understand that there are few things based on which it will be working. Like if we were talking about radar and all, here there's something called a lidar, right?
Yeah.
Light emitting. They use basically this laser light to understand the surface, right? So if you talk about the data privacy, the general privacy concern that is there is there with autonomous vehicle as well, like because we will be generating more personal data. We will be having personal data of users, like somebody is using that car, or if the car is on the person's name, so where it traveled, at what speed, and all those information we have. So if we talk about the user data protection perspective, then protection of personal data, travel history, preferences, their biometric information, these are the things that need to be protected. And how it can be protected, we have to see, because the length and breadth of the technology is expanding. You are using AI, and then you have to take all the concerns. Like if we talk about the normal privacy that we have in our organizations related to our infrastructure and all, we have lots of controls. But when we think about the privacy in the perspective of AI and such these emerging technologies, the concerns get changed, right? The lots of concern that we do not know, or maybe it will evolve. Apart from that, sensor data, like you have lidar, you have cameras and all to as a part of this autonomous vehicle. So integrity and confidentiality of data that is collected by the sensors, and how it is processed, where it is kept, all those concerns basically there with the data protection of autonomous vehicles that I see.
So basically, what you're saying is that the privacy concerns are centered around where it is stored and how it is accessed and by whom it is.
And apart from that, again, because these are emerging technologies, so with the concern are different from the traditional concern of data privacy we have with our infrastructure. We have our computer systems and all. The emerging technologies again bring some more concerns to the data privacy, and that we have to see how we are going to deal with it.
Right. So Vaisakh, what is your take on this?
Yeah. So I think data privacy is always a big topic everywhere. Now, the interesting fact is that every country is implementing their own data protection law, right? It's coming from this OEM side, as on a product side, it's a big, headache for us, because we have to modify the solution with respect to the law of each country. Then only we can sell there, right? So that is one part of it. But, what I appreciate is that the data privacy GDPR is the first one which got implemented on a widely basis, right? In the European. So I think, the entire, the earth should think about having a common data privacy policy, because data is same everywhere, right? And data privacy is same everywhere. Why? Every country has their own particular thing, right? So I think the consortiums like a G9 and whatever, right? All that, everybody should talk together on this and implement a global data protection law. It's good for the law as such, implement, to enhance, and for the companies and for the users, right? And when you're traveling, you're a global citizen now, right? You're traveling everywhere, and that also standardizes those concerns on the policy level. That's what my take on those things. And on the law side, on the user side, of course, it's all these dark web websites publishing the data. So one of the key what we identified from our own research is that a lot of the endpoints, the web endpoint, API endpoints, which is exposed to the internet, is one of the reason for the big billion data leakages, right? So it has to be, of course, you need to have the API is exposed for normal citizen or people to explore things, right? To do their e-governance, healthcare, all the things they have to do. But that's the entry point for the hackers as well, right? So that is where more care has to be taken. I mean, it is a responsibility of every organization when they expose things outside what they're exposing, the volume of what they're exposing, all matters.
Sorry, I think it's a pretty pertinent question in the current scenario where need for connectivity, right? And the speed and the availability is growing significantly, wherein I need connectivity all wherever I am in office, I am while traveling to office, I need connectivity, right? So it's very essential, and we need to know that what are the technologies which are running behind these, right? So of course, we are running in a 5G era, right? From 1G to 2.5G to 3G, 4G, and now we are looking to. I think the next hop is already in the research for 6G networks. It's because
near
of
60.
my need as a user, as an enterprise. It gives a lot of abilities to the individual and the companies to actually expand their networks. So wherever I have literally not even thought about getting connected, right? I'm able to connect, right, through the wireless mobile network. Because wireless network is always a challenge whenever there's an enterprise which has widespread presence, where areas where you don't get a UBR, and there are significant challenges when you connect to a remote office through a UBR because of line of sight issues, right? Weather is a great factor, right? So I think 5G gives tremendous abilities to organization to actually exercise and be connected, right? So while 5G has come, of course, and how it works, of course, the edge computing is something which is powering 5G networks. If you don't have edge, is the 5G is actually incomplete. Right? So the biggest example is the traffic management, right? So all of those networks are running on a 5G network, right? Where you're getting the challenge, right, is because the cameras that are connected to the street side catching hold your number plates and are giving you that's just because of edge computing and 5G networks. Because I know practically I cannot give a wired or connectivity to these devices. But so I think which means that the kind of attack surface is actually grown significantly, which means that it will bring a lot of security issues, right? Because of the such amount of extensive connectivity and large number of IoT devices, right, which are getting connected through the 5G networks, right? So it's very essential to have that layer of protection to those devices, right? So endpoint security goes beyond your PCs and machines, right? It has gone to those devices which are not having operating systems, right? They are embedded systems, and then still you have to protect them because they might get access by adversaries, and then you can see the amount of impact that it will actually impact your privacy, it will impact your business across, right? So very essentially the attack surface something is very important, right? And because the 5G network is on SDN, right, it is not a physical network, so you have the operators create logical separation of the various industries and domain in a 5G network. So a 5G network running on an hospital, right, on healthcare would be different than on telecom, or my vehicle which is running, right, on autonomous vehicles, or my so that's the slicing. That's this concept of network slicing, which actually gives you the ability to break down your into. But when you actually do that, it is happening over the virtual side. So it's very essential to actually have a comprehensive security policies in place for each slice, so that each slice, so that you can see the amount of impact that a slice which is running in a hospital and the one running auto, it we can actually collide if somebody gain access to the slice and see the amount of impact it would make to the one which is actually being used. So health is paramount, right? So how we're going to protect is very essential, and virtualization risk is will always remain there, because 5G and edge computing heavily rely on virtually your NFE, your SDN, which can significantly introduce vulnerability, right? So we need to have a secure configuration. We have to regularly update virtual environment and apply strong access control. And of course, all of these factors, edge computing, for example, your CCTV monitoring happens at the edge. It gives a lot of ability, and the entire SASE network is now is based on edge, because I'm accessing internet, I'm traveling to some other city place, I'm getting connected to the nearest POP of the SASE provider, and where it is providing the same policies, same wherever I go around the world, I'm having the same policies across. And where's the computing happening? As the edge, right? So I think these two technologies will play a significant role in the way you actually manage and operate, right? So, but you have to ensure that the supply chain security, your legacy security issues have to be addressed across in this entire ecosystem. Otherwise, it has a very devastating impact on your business operation, because more and more businesses are now getting heavily rely on 5G and your edge computing networks.
Great point. Great. Okay, so I think we are actually really short of time, so I'm going to accelerate the process a bit. Though the discussion has been so fascinating that I don't feel like winding things down. But let's move forward quickly. Then, Suresh, if you could share, and I mean, you'll have to do it, in a sort of a very time-limited manner. Your experience from cybersecurity perspective in the context of AI, ML, robotics, blockchain, things like that. But as I said,
sure. Yeah, I think we are definitely at a very significant time in the history of using technologies like AI and ML. I think we have to definitely use it to our own benefit, but also considering the negative ill effects of how it can be manipulated and things like that, right? So one of the things that I kind of also propagate is the fair use of AI, right? Because even in our own internal use, we are heavily dependent on AI and ML models, because it literally reduces the amount of time that you basically invest on research and on building things which are mundane, right? Basically, so you can probably rely on AI to build that for you, or you can keep investing on your research, right? So we are a big proponent of that. While that is happening, one of the fundamentals that a lot of organizations should start looking at is how do you basically interact with the machines, right? While machines are learning, and I'll go back to the same meme that I initially mentioned about, machines are learning significantly, but how do you basically interact with them? So that is that's the part which a lot of us have not really looked into, right? The prompt engineering, as it is called, right? So how do you basically prompt so that you get the best out of the interaction with AI models? I think that is where a lot of organizations are also struggling today. And if any platform that basically can help solve for that will be a good game changer. So I'll probably stop there.
Yeah. So those are very valid points, and there's probably an AI for that as well.
Yes, there probably could be an AI for that. You probably need to build one.
Excellent. So, Vaisakh, what would you like to talk about? Let's say, how about 5G network security from that perspective? If you could add your comments and ideas.
Yeah, so Badri sir was talking about the slices in 5G so that we can have different slices for different, that will give us some virtual, namespaces for different thing. But, one thing I noticed with 5G is that, everything is now API driven. So all the functions which were done by the hardware devices like Ericsson and all the thing, Nokia and all, it's now software. So it is being done for the future, right? That means everybody can use those functions individually. They can get those network. They call VNF virtual network functions, which is API converted and which is used for the end users or organizations, right? So that is where the other problem will come. Now it's exposed for good reasons, and now that is where the hackers can also take over it, right? Of course, I've seen there's a practical demonstration of how you can get from an end user virtual network function, you can get into the core 5G stack. How you get into the core 5G stack and exploit. So of course, technology is for ease of use, but at the same time, the security concerns will also come along with it, right? Of course, it is a never-ending game because humans are on the both sides, right? So we have to do from all our knowledge and know-how, we have to keep on helping and on the man society. That's my single point. Right?
In fact, I think Badri had mentioned about automating, everything is automated from that aspect. I think it was Badri or maybe it was Suresh, I don't remember. So Badri, you want to add something to this?
So I think the 5G part is really fascinating because with the SDN and NFV, I think it's like the nervous system of a human being. The bad actors can, although you're logically partitioning and segregating the various, the underlying infrastructure, the 5G infrastructure is like the US superhighways, right? There is so much of bandwidth. So I think particularly for network attacks like DDoS, it becomes very, very highly vulnerable. And also SDN and NFE, somebody can hijack or, it can even be a lateral breach. You don't even know somebody has come in. Then I think it's like data poisoning, so 5G exposes a whole lot of, threats at a different level of threats itself, and it's, a lot of the times I see the infrastructure teams, the cybersecurity is always an afterthought. Like even in the IoT world, an airport is installed, a power grid is installed, and then they're talking about putting an UTM, an APT, and then stitching all this together. And even when they do refresh cycles, technology refresh cycles, securing always when the deployment is being done. I think some of the 101s I would like to add.
Yeah, Aamir, let's hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so there are lots of concern. As I spoke in the beginning, a lot of concern, and those are quite common in all those emerging technologies. If again, if I talk about securing those, we start with the authentication method, right? Robust authentication method we require in terms of be it 5G, be it Metaverse, be it AI technology and all. Everywhere, the basic authentication method that we have, we need to make it robust. As we see, it is going more towards from identity to the biometric solutions that we are using to authentication and all. So these need to be taken care. Apart from that, again, the legal and regulatory compliances play a very crucial role, especially with these emerging technologies, because every country wanted to secure its own interest. And for that, again, the data is the new oil. So we are generating so much data, so we need to secure those through these data protection laws and the regulation around it. Apart from that, encryption plays a significant role in safeguarding all these technologies. And as we see, again, a new emerging technologies called quantum computing is looking like a threat to this encryption. So we have to look into that. What is coming? What is coming in the future? So because at one side we are seeing these emerging technologies, and another side we are seeing one technology getting matured that can be a threat to these these controls that you are implementing. Like encryption is a big control that we use throughout the this internet era, right? We use it everywhere from your basic endpoint where you use your web browser. Even nowadays, you cannot use any website or open any website without any SSL sort of encryption, right? So those are the concern that I see. That may arise, or that may create some pain for us going forward related to these emerging technologies.
So I think we have actually run out of time. The time allotted to us was 40 minutes from 1. So we are now at 1:54. We've had an excellent discussion. It was, great inputs from everybody, exciting things. I've learned a lot, and I would like to thank each one of you very much. Thank you, and it's been great. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Anybody
Thanks,
who's got
everyone.
questions?
Thank you all.
I think there might be questions. So if you could just please hang on. We'll see if there is. Yes. There's a gentleman who's asking for a brief about edge computing. Who wants to take this?
Yeah, I can take that question. From our technology standpoint, in general, see, for instance, the processing is happening at the cloud, right? For instance, we do application security. So the private cloud providers where the application security is happening right now, everything is the term we see is that decloudification. How everything is going from the cloud to back to the customer cloud. I mean, decloudification means customer cloud or on-premise. So having the computing which is concentrated on the edge, on the customer, near to customer, is generally called as edge computing, and that will also giving a way for the decentralized way of moving forward, right? For instance, if the single on private cloud fails, then everything will fail, right? So rather, if it's moving to a decentralized, like an edge computing is happening at the edge, the chance of global downtime can be reduced. I think that's where every technology has to be focused on, right? The decentralized way of computing, right? That's more on the edge computing. That's fine, yeah.
Okay, great. So any other questions? If not, we are done. Thank you for being a patient audience. And thank you for hearing us out. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
What a great and insightful session it was. Actually, it brought a new perspective to our minds. Thank you so much, all of you, for this panel discussion, for coming here and speaking on this topic. We are very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.